Kunja Bihari. Jayo Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jai Vishnupad Paramamsa Parvajagacharya Astu Tarasata Shishimad. His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada Ki Jai. Jai Vishnupad Paramamsa Parvajagacharya Astu Tarasata Shishimad Shringa Guru Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Maharaj Ki Jai. Anantakoti Vaishnavinda Ki Jai. ISKCON BBT Founder Acharya Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai. Premsiko Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasari Gaur Bhaktavinda Ki Jai. Shri Shri Radha Krishna Gopi Gopinath Shama Kund Radha Kund Giri Govardhan Ki Jai. Vrindavan Dham Ki Jai. Mayapur Dham Ki Jai. Navadvip Dham Ki Jai. Jagannath Puri Dham Ki Jai. Tulsi Devi Bhakti Devi Ki Jai. Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam Ki Jai. Their Divine Lordship Shri Shri Rukmini Dwarkadish Ki Jai. Their Divine Lordship Shri Shri Jagannath Baladev Shrimati Subhadra Ki Jai. Their Divine Lordship Shri Shri Gonitai Ki Jai. Gaur Premananda Hari Hari Bo. All glories to all the Sama devotees Hare Krishna. All glories to all the Sama devotees Hare Krishna. All glories to all the Sama devotees Hare Krishna. All glories to Shri Shri Guru and Shri Gauranga. Gracie Prabhupada. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So today we're reading from the Srimad Bhagavatam. This is the third canto, chapter 15, describing the spiritual Vaikuntha planets. It's text number 15, yes. And today's class will be entitled Unveiling Vaikuntha. We're exploring the spiritual realm through Srila Prabhupada's wisdom. So it's on the mystical realm of Vaikuntha. And we're going to embark on a journey of discovery, delving into the spiritual world as revealed through Srila Prabhupada's wisdom. So today's verse. Yatra chaja pumanaste Bhagavan sabda gocharaha Satvam vistabhya virajam Svanam no mridayan risha Yatra chada pumanaste Bhagavan sabda gocharaha Satvam vishtaya virjam Svanam no mridayan risa Yatra chadya pumanaste Bhagavan sabda gocharaha Satvam vistabhya virajam Svanam no mridayan risaha. Bhagavan Shabda Gochadaha Satvam Vistabhya Virajam Sanam no Mritayan Vrisaha Yatra Chadyan Pumanaste Bhagavan Shabda Gochadaha Sabda Vishtam Virajam Sanam no Mritayan Visha Yatra Chadya Pumanaste Bhagavan Sabdagocharaha Sattvam Vishtabhya Virajam Sanam no Midayan Vrisa Yatra Chadyam Pumanaste Bhagavan Sabdagocharaha Sattvam Vachaha Yatra Chadyam Pramanaste Bhagavan Sabdagocharaha Sattvam Vishtabhya Virajam Swanam no Mridayam Brasa. Vaishnavis. Yatra Chadam Pramanaste Jam Sanam no Mridayan Visa Yatra Chadam Pramanaste Amida Chandramada Amida Visha Yatra in the Vaikuntha planets Cha and Adya original Puman person Aste is there. Bhagavan, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Shabdagocharaha, understood through the Vedic literature. Sattvam, the mode of goodness. Vistabhya, accepting. Virajam, uncontaminated. Swanam, of his own associates. Na, us. Mridayan, increasing happiness. Vrisaha, the personification of religious principles. So you may be wondering why I have Bhagavan Sabdagochara in red. Actually, in text number 11, those same words are there to describe Lord Brahma. So it translated Bhagavan as the possessor of all opulences and Sabda Gochara as one who is understood by transcendental sound vibration. It's referring to Lord Brahma. And then this verse, it's referring to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So just see that devotees are in the same quality as Krishna. And they actually can see. So the translation. In the Vaikuntha planets is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is the original person and who can be understood through the Vedic literature. He is full of the uncontaminated mode of goodness, with no place for passion or ignorance. He contributes religious progress for the devotees. Please repeat. In the Vaikuntha planets is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is the original person and who can be understood through the Vedic literature. He is full of the uncontaminated mode of goodness, with no place for passion or ignorance. He contributes religious progress for the devotees. Purport. The kingdom of the Supreme Personality of Godhead in the spiritual sky cannot be understood by any process other than hearing from the descriptions of the Vedas. No one can go to see it. In this material world also, one who is unable to pay to go to a far distant place by motorized conveyances can only understand about that place from authentic books. Similarly, the Vaikuntha planets in the spiritual sky are beyond this material sky. The modern scientists who are trying to travel in space are having difficulty going even to the nearest planet, the moon, to say nothing of the highest planets within the universe. There is no possibility that they can go beyond the material sky, enter the spiritual sky, and see for themselves the spiritual planets, Vaikuntha. Therefore, the kingdom of God in the spiritual sky can be understood only through the authentic descriptions of the Vedas and Puranas. In the material world, there are three modes of material qualities: goodness, passion, and ignorance. But in the spiritual world, there is no trace of the modes of passion and ignorance. There is only the mode of goodness, which is uncontaminated by any tinge of ignorance or passion. In the material world, even if a person is completely in goodness, he is sometimes subject to be polluted by tinges of the mode of ignorance and passion. But in the Vaikuntha world, the spiritual sky, only the mode of goodness in its pure form exists. The Lord and his devotees reside in the Vaikuntha planets, and they are of the same transcendental quality, namely Suddha Sattva, the mode of pure goodness. The Vaikuntha planets are very dear to the Vaishnavas, and for the progressive march of the Vaishnavas toward the kingdom of God, the Lord himself helps his devotees. Jai. Om Gyana Timanandasya Gyananjana Sakaya Chakshushamani Tamena Tasmai Sri Gurve Namah. Sri Chaitanya Manobhistam Stapitamena Bhutale Swayamupakadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasari Gaur Bhaktavinda. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Vanchakopa Tubhischa Kripa Sindhubhavcha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. So let's go to the translation again. In the Vaikuntha planets is a Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is the original person and who can be understood through the Vedic literature. He is full of the uncontaminated mode of goodness, with no place for passion or ignorance. He contributes religious progress for the devotees. So, it's describing how the Vaikuntha planets are the abode of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and that he can be understood only through the Vedic literature, and how these Vaikuntha planets are beyond the material sky, and again, they can only be understood through the descriptions of the Vedas and the Puranas. And how it's described how the spiritual world is devoid of the modes, or devoid of the modes of passion and ignorance. And only the mode of goodness appears in its pure form, without any tinge of these other modes. And that's where the devotees reside with the Lord. And they all have the same transcendental quality. So these Vaikuntha planets, they're very highly regarded to the Vaishnavas. And the Lord himself actually assists and supports the devotees in their spiritual progress to go towards the kingdom of God. So here we could see Lord Brahma is actually visualizing and seeing the Vaikuntha planets, and is describing them to the demigods, because this is the whole story about Jai and Vijay getting cursed and becoming demons. And this is why they're experiencing difficulties in the material world, because of these huge demons. Sure, sorry. So yeah, this is Vaikuntha, the abode of the Supreme Personality Godhead. As you mentioned, it holds immense significance in the Vedic literature, and its realm is beyond our material existence. It's filled with that supreme goodness. And that's where the Supreme Personality Godhead graces his presence there. So yeah, it's beyond Here's a nice little kind of a verse, poem. No material eye can ever see those realms where he resides in glee. The material sky, a distant shore, beyond its bounds, his kingdom soars. So it's nice. What we're doing is we're describing the Vaikuntha worlds. And this is very important. There's a verse in the Srimad Bhagavatam in the first canto, 3rd chapter, text number 39. This is the translation. Only by making such inquiries in this world can one be successful and perfectly cognizant. For such inquiries invoke transcendental ecstatic love unto the personality of Godhead, who is the proprietor of all the universes, and guarantee cent per cent immunity from the dreadful repetition of birth and death. So this is so nice. So as mentioned in this particular verse here, the gunas, the three modes, they're like ropes, and they bind us like bars or barriers. So in realms where gunas weave their binding ropes, like bars and barriers that hold us tight, we dwell within, chant and read with hope, seeking mysteries and inner delights. But when our hunger for connection wanes and worldly distractions cloud our gaze, personality conflicts earthly stains, engulf our meditations in a haze. Boredom seeps in, seeking senses pleasure, forgetting depths, ignoring inner call, we lose ourselves in gratification's measure, not realizing higher tastes at all. To touch the spiritual, control we must, surrendering to senses wild sway. Only then Vaikuntha unveils its trust, and deeper realms of consciousness hold sway. Even devotees with anger may wrestle, insensitivity could cloud their sight. Yet we must face our flaws, emotions nestle, and seek redemption in love's pure light. Intelligence beyond the mind's confines, emotions sway a measure of our soul. To succeed stability, our heart aligns. Grounded within, a wholesome self we mold. See each as part of a harmonious whole. Train in selflessness, emotional grace. Avoid the traps of snobbery and control, so crimes of passion find no fertile place. When anger stirs at Vaishnavas, beware a greater offense against their divine. Compassion for faults, love we must bear, to elevate our souls like Lord Chaitanya's sign. Let not the ropes of gunas hold us back, but rise above the modes, their binding sway. In every act and word, keep love on track, and strive to be Vaishnavas every day. So this is a poem kind of describing what's happening. So as we see, sometimes, even if you're in the mode of goodness in the mature world, sometimes we're affected by these modes of ignorance and passion. So sometimes you'll see Vaishnavas maybe become angry or under these modes of ignorance and passion. So we have to consider, as Vaishnavas, there's a difference between the state you're in and yourself, right? So the state referring to your emotional state or mindset we find ourselves in. So a state of being and feeling that can trap us, and it leads us to confuse it with our true self, our identity, or even other people's intentions. So it's important to recognize that our state is not our self, right? Emotions are temporary, and they should not be elongated into the meaning of our lives or our potential. Like some people think that what's going on in my mind is reality. That's who I am because I'm thinking that, right? So we have to develop a sense of maturity by creating a space between the stimulus and response, and allow us to observe our emotions without letting them define us. So like a practical activity is that as we read these transcendental literatures, we can choose words like three words and describe your best aspirational self according to like what you read. Who are you? What's your best self? I'm a spirit soul. I'm a servant of Krishna. I'm a disciple of my spiritual master. I'm the son of my spiritual master. We can see these things. And then you could reflect on your gifts, all the talents that you've been given, that you're born with. You could reflect on your strengths. You could reflect on the people you love. You could reflect on your identity, like who really am I? And then we can envision future scenes. What it would be like to be, in the spiritual world? What it would be like to be a pure devotee? What it would be like to be a good servant of your spiritual master? So these things are there. So if we focus on these aspects, we can shift our mindset away from negative emotions and reconnect with our core self. And then we become conscious and we could take positive action. So that's very nice. So that's important. We separate our current emotional state from our true self, and that promotes self-awareness. And then it's a nurturing, resilient, and empowering mindset to have. Because you see, sometimes devotees, even what to speak of materialists, we find ourselves under these modes of material nature. So we mentioned how we understand Vaikuntha through Srila Prabhupada. So Prabhupada's authentic books serve as our gateway to comprehend and experience Vaikuntha. So here's like another little poetic thing here. Through his teachings, we gain insights into the spiritual planets, the divine, landscapes, and the intimate nature of the Supreme Lord. Yet in the pages of ancient tomes, the Vaikuntha's splendor sweetly roams. In pure goodness it does reside, no passion sway, no ignorance tide. So there's a lecture Srila Prabhupada gave in Los Angeles, and this was in 1974. And this is just like a poetic rendering of what he was speaking about. In this human realm, a message so true, a call to drink the nectar, oh, how it's due. Hari Lilamrita, Krishna's tale divine, a guide for mankind, a treasure so fine. Addressed to Nriloke, the human domain, not meant for creatures their minds in restrain. For the body's purpose, this verse does proclaim, to rally the scriptures and honor Krishna's name. No literature compares to Bhagavatam's grace, its words for humanity a saving embrace. Each syllable carries the wisdom of old, benefiting all hearts, its secrets unfold. Book distribution, our mission so dear, for even one verse can bring a soul near. The mridanga of knowledge spreading its sound, from home to home, all boundaries unbound. And then Prabhupada refers to Rishabdev in that verse. Rishabdev's wisdom, a father's advice, to his sons he imparts a path to paradise. Human life's purpose, not mere sense pleasure, but penance and service our souls to treasure. Embrace self-discipline, find joy in its sway. Success is not far when you happily obey. For studies have shown elite performers shine in the bliss of self-discipline, life's true design. So Prabhupada's actual words, which is very famous in that lecture, and this is what he said, this is Prabhupada. There is no literature throughout the universe like Srimad Bhagavatam. There is no comparison. There is no competition. Every word is for the good of the human society. Every word, each and every word. Therefore we stress so much in the book distribution. Somehow or other, if the book goes in one's hand, he will be benefited. So it's very famous verses. So you can see Srila Prabhupada gave us a tome of transcendental literatures, a library, which reveals to us, and you'll see the painting there. Prabhupada had the devotees describe these transcendental literatures with these paintings, which he said are windows into the spiritual world. But the scientists, as Prabhupada mentions in the purport about the moon, they're trying to figure out the nearest planet, but they can't even do that. What to speak of the Vaikuntha planets or even beyond the universe. So the scientists, with boundless might, strive to conquer the starry night, but moon's embrace eludes their grasp, and higher realms slip through their clasp. So here's the divine manifestation of Vaikuntha. In Vaikuntha, everything takes on a spiritual and personal form. The trees, the land, the residents, and the animals all exude spiritual essence, creating an interconnected tapestry of divinity. So here's another poetic rendition here. No distinctions prevail between man and beast, for each possesses a form joyfully released. Formlessness denied, the impersonal fades. In Vaikuntha's embrace, every form cascades. In material realm we find goodness tainted and souls confined. But in Vaikuntha's sacred space, only purity adorns each place. The Lord and his devotees fair dwell in those realms beyond compare. Transcendental beings of highest worth in realms of Suddha Sattva's birth. So as we mentioned, it's unfortunate that people don't discuss the glories of the Vaikuntha planets and instead engage in unworthy topics of the mature world. And this is actually the modes of ignorance and darkness. So in summary, these Vaikuntha realms are pure goodness, spiritual bliss. And the inhabitants there, you can see they enjoy life and devotion and the service to the Supreme Personality Guided. And they're free from distractions and limitations of this mature world. So here, we're going to embrace a spiritual journey. So you want to watch closely here. So Prabhupada, his revelation guides us towards Goloka Dham, the highest yatra in the spiritual planet. And his words are like our compass. So we embark on a sacred journey seeking the highest truths and blissful embrace for the Supreme. So there's a book, actually from the memories, I can't remember exactly, I couldn't find it, but Prabhupada actually entered into the pastime of one of the paintings. And he was describing to the devotees that, you know why Krishna has this particular expression or why this is that. And he explained, he was seeing the whole pastime and he explained to the devotees what was happening there. So here, just a little rendition to kind of give you an idea. In the material world, one tree could only give one kind of fruit. But in the spiritual world, it could give mangoes, it could give bananas, it could give all kinds of different fruits, you know, even pineapples from the trees, you know, flowers, you know, so many different kinds of, you know, fruits and flowers, vegetables. You see, everything that is there is here, but it's perverted. There's waters like nectar, you know, there's a sky, there's people, there's spiritual cities there. You see? So this is that window that Srila Prabhupada gives us through his books. And that's just exploring one description. And see the other paintings there, we can enter into those as we read the Srimad Bhagavatam and see the pastimes. But we're just describing Vaikuntha in this particular chapter. And when you get to the 10th canto, then you'll enter into these other higher realms in Goloka Vrindavan. So that's what's described there. So we have this call to seek Vaikuntha. We want to explore. So here's another poetic rendition here. The call to explore Vaikuntha beckons to our souls, inspiring us to transcend the limitations of our material existence. Through Prabhupada's legacy, we are urged to venture into the uncharted realms of spiritual growth and enlightenment. Prabhupada's books, Windows to Divine, revealing Goloka where spiritual planets shine. Prabhupada's books, Windows to Explore, revealing paintings, mystical lore. Golokadam, the highest retreat, where spiritual planets enchant and greet. Unveiled through scripture's wisdom untold, guiding our journey as we unfold, with hearts ignited to seek to find the realms unseen by Prabhupada's kind. So this is a very mystical journey that we have to enter into these pastimes, these things. So we want to unlock the gates to Vaikuntha and seek the Supreme's face. So beyond the known, a celestial sight, in Goloka's embrace, truth takes flight. Transcendence beckons our souls entwined through sacred verses, treasures aligned. Let's heed the call to realms unknown, where divine secrets are beautifully shown. Prabhupada's legacy, a guiding star, leading us closer to where wonders are. Beloved abode of Vaishnavas true, Vaikuntha shines with hues so blue. And as his devotees tread the path, the Lord himself averts their wrath. He guides them with his loving hand towards the kingdom's golden strand. With every step, he leads his aid to souls in search of bliss's trade. So let us seek that sacred place, embrace the Lord's eternal embrace. Through Vedic lore, let wisdom unfurl, and find our home in Vaikuntha's pearl. So I'd like to end there and open it up for any comments, questions, realizations. Well, I put this together through the different, from the texts and from Prabhupada's words, and they're just rearranged in a certain way. So, any other comment, question, realizations? Jai. So Savas wanted to stand early, so I guess we're ending early. Jai. All right, so thank you for your kind attention. All glories to Srimad Bhagavatam, all glories to Srila Prabhupada.